If you want to manage to do locks without tension, with free and easy styling straight after, yes, you heard right, straight after doing them, here is your video. My name is Kissa. I do all things hair, business, and love head wraps. So please don't forget to subscribe and have a look at my other videos. So I do a lot of locks, and when I do them, I make sure that they are tension free, but this all depends on someone's hair type and how thick the root of the hair is. So with this hair, I decided to do twists. I know it's something that's not usually done, but I decided to do twists because I'm trying to make it very easy for hair to be able to take them down. So I do twists. So I try my best to use as less products as I can. I try and avoid too much gels and waxes for this hairstyle. So basically all I'm using here is just oil. I've not used much water, but just mostly oil more than anything. So with starting these twists, they're going to look a bit poofy, a little bit fluffy, just depending on your hair type, but it's all going to come together towards the end of the video. So the purpose of this video is to just show you how I do them so that your locks aren't full of tension and they are not stiff and sticking up and hard to lay down or hard to style. I always make sure to leave a tiny gap at the root so that when I am wrapping or twisting the hair over the natural hair with the false hair, I'm going to make sure that there's a little room so it's not too much fake hair being wrapped onto the real hair. You'll see this very soon. After doing these for a very, very long time as well, I always feel like arched partings are much better than square partings because I feel like arched partings make the locks fall a little bit better rather than square partings unless someone has very, very thin hair. However, having locks on top of thin hair, fake locks on top of thin hair is not a very good idea, but that's for another video. This is where you have to really trust the process, but this is the beginning of a beautiful, beautiful style. So once I have done the twists, this is what they look like. You see there's not too much product on the actual hair. This is just one of the methods I use. So I use the crochet method. There's so many other methods as well I can show you, but this is one of the main ones I use. But when you're doing this, you have to be really careful because you could hook through the hair and pull some hair strands if you're not too careful. So that's why I leave that gap at the top there so that my crochet hook can freely go through the twist and come back out without pulling or tugging on any hair. I also don't want the natural hair to carry too much weight from the fake hair. So I'm using a kinky type of hair, and I'm also using a pre-made looped crochet lock. After I hook the crochet needle through, I use a piece of the kinky hair, I hook that through with a crochet hook, and I just wrap very gently and not too tightly, but just wrap very gently and very sparingly so that most of her natural hair is being covered and I'm not using too much fake hair. Using too much fake hair or overwrapping can cause a lot of tightness or pulling and even tugging onto the actual root. The less fake hair you use to wrap, the better the free the lock is going to be, so it's going to be more flexible. So as you can see here, I've not wrapped anything at the root. I've just wrapped over the natural hair. After this, I take a very thin piece of kinky hair, I hook that through and I wrap just to seal the root of the lock. And you'll see this very soon. So just like this. It's very important not to overwrap the hair because again, that's going to create a lot of tension. And the bigger pieces, if you use too many bigger pieces at the root, that's also going to affect the flexibility of the lock itself. So after doing this, I repeat the process all over the head, and I just make sure when I am wrapping, I make sure that I'm wrapping in the direction I want the locks to fall. Once these are done, you'll see that they'll be able to flip to the left and to the right, and they'll also be able to be easily tied up because that's the purpose of this hairstyle. We want this hairstyle to be tension free. We want this hairstyle to have flowy locks and not too stiff locks that stick out and cause pain to the scalp. and pull hair. That's what we're trying to avoid. I also try and avoid using too much product, so I will use a tiny bit of product at the front of the hair just to give that cute aesthetic. But here I am repeating the process again, just like before. However, this piece of hair is quite thicker. This part of her hair is quite thicker than the back of her hair, so I use a little bit more fake hair to wrap the hair. However, I won't over wrap it. I will wrap it just once. It's very important that you're holding the hair in place as you're twisting, and you're holding it to the direction it will normally fall, so that you're not pulling too tight at the root and avoiding that tight overwrapping, causing so much tension, which we want to avoid. It's also very important to make sure the hair is not too dry, because it will dry up as you continue to do the style. So if you feel like you don't have too much control of the natural hair, you can spray it with a little bit of water or a little bit of oil just to give that flexibility, and so that you're not overly wrapping with the fake hair. You have to be very, very careful towards the edges, because you don't want them to be pulled into the lock too much. And can you see the little space that I have left at the front of the edges? I'm just holding that root in place so that it's not being overly wrapped and causing too much tugging onto her edges. This is also the perfect time to use a little bit of gel or a little bit of product, because it's going to put all your little edges that you don't want to be out or that you don't want to be tugging on right under that lock. So this is the final wrapping. I'm not going to wrap any more hair onto this lock. So I'll go ahead and use just a little bit of oil to counteract any wax that I have used for the gel. So here's the final result. Can you see that it's very flexible? Can you see that we can pull it up and it's not too painful? It's manageable, it's free flowing, and we can tie it up. We can flip it to the side with no tension, and it just looks very manageable. I feel like this is just the right amount of locks that you should have on your head. I feel like it's very important to pay attention to what your natural hair can carry. And I feel like this looks so beautiful on her. This is what she normally has. I'll show you some pictures. This is what she normally has. She loves them like this. And usually she just tells me to freestyle and do anything when it comes to locks. But here we are just tying them up. And can you see that they're not too stiff? We can leave them down or we can style them up straight away. And they're just painless. They're beautiful. It took me a while to learn this, but this is all through experience and also just learning from my past clients and what they've told me when they've had this style. I feel like I'm still learning with this style though. I have so many different people, so many different hair textures. So just being mindful with how I install them, and also just trying to see what works best for the hair. So to do this pony, I literally took 2 strands from the middle of her hair and I have just wrapping them around very loosely, not too tight, so she's not feeling too much tension. And this is how I do a bun. This is my absolute favorite. I love buns. I just love them. They look so cute. Here are some of the buns that I've done, and every time I do this style or I do braids or twists, I always get asked to do a bun. It's just so beautiful. If you'd love to see more of my work, my Instagram is Hairbykissauk, and I do post some of my videos on the shorts here on this platform. Thank you so much for watching. And here at the end there, she's just showing me the last locks that she has. She's the lock addict.